This is Lula. And I'm Steve Mathis. Hey, welcome to this little episode here today. Sorry, Lou. I'm Steve Mathis. I'm a nature photographer from Jackson, Wyoming. And I'm here today to talk about slightly less wildlife than normal. I'm actually going to talk about my dog, but not that dog, not Lula, my dog Ruby, because I want to show you the Nikon Z9 kind of in action, in the wild. So I wasn't planning on doing any kind of an autofocus test in this particular situation. I just took my dogs out on a walk. So I just casually threw the camera over my shoulder. This is a Nikon Z9 with the Nikon Z 100 to 400 millimeter lens. And I just threw this over my shoulder and went for a walk with my dogs in the snow, which happens all the time. But in this particular case, I thought I'd show you the results of how the autofocus performed in a completely just casual, random situation that's very difficult on an autofocus system. So I wasn't planning to do the test. It was not set up. It wasn't planned. Nothing like that. In fact, I even had a bag of dog poo in this hand kind of wedged between my fingers while I was holding the camera and making this particular sequence of photos. This is a difficult situation for the autofocus of any camera. There was lightly falling snow. Ruby's a big dog that runs very fast. She's a German Shepherd mix. Highly erratic. She's crazy, and she bounds through the snow and coming straight at the camera. I called her, and she ran straight at me, bounding through the snow, and I just whipped the camera up and until she got too close to focus. And that's what I'm going to show you. So I did not do a great job as a photographer of keeping her in the frame. It is a difficult situation, and you'll kind of see that in a minute. But I'm not proud of my job as a photographer out there. I can do much better than this, I promise, when I'm trying. But this dad wasn't really trying. I just pointed the camera and shot it. Some of the kind of technical considerations for this particular test. This was just handheld, just boom. I had that long to make that photo. So I was set in auto area, autofocus, which is just the camera has the whole frame available to it and tries to decide what to focus on. And I had auto subject detection on, just basically straight out of the box, fully automatic autofocus system. So I just pushed the button down and let the camera do its thing. The exposure was locked at ISO 800, 1/3200th of a second, and f5. Okay, so pretty simple. I was shooting at 15 frames per second. This thing will do 20 and still shoot raw files, but I just had it set at 15 frames per second for this one. So as I mentioned, I think I did a terrible job of tracking Ruby. It's a very difficult situation for the autofocus system and for me, and I was not particularly, I was being kind of lackadaisical, basically. But I wanted to show you this anyways. The camera really was remarkable. So I've done this exact same test many times when I walk my dogs with many different cameras, including the Nikon D5, the D4, the D850, the D500, the Z6 II, the Z7 II, the Sony A9 II, and most recently the Sony A1, which I still own. So I have a reasonably good expectation of what all the other cameras can do and how they perform in this particular specific situation. So anyway, let's take a quick look at the full sequence of 35 frames in real time. This is only about 2¼ seconds this whole sequence happens. So here we go. And that's over pretty fast, right? So that is a pretty fast dog and a pretty high frame rate. So to expect the autofocus system to be able to focus on her eye as she does that is expecting an awful lot, I think. So let's see it again in real time. 2¼ seconds, 35 frames. boom, again, it's quick. Now I'm going to slow it down to 1 second per frame. So this is going to be 1/15 of normal speed. You can see that I did not do a particularly great job of keeping her face framed. She's moving very quickly and very erratically, and there's definitely some photographer error in there, but we're looking kind of for autofocus performance here. And you can see that the camera really does a remarkable job, even with my kind of errors of not keeping her well framed. So I'm impressed. Let's run it again. This time the full sequence with, I just cropped in at 1:1 on her face. So you have a little better idea. You can see when it's in and out of focus on a few of the frames. And I'd say out of the 35 frames, the camera nailed 30 of those frames, which is incredible, I think. It missed perfect focus on 2 or 3 of those, and I definitely was the problem on a few of those that it missed as well. So photographer error plus just a really difficult situation, and the camera still nailed 30 out of 35 in a really tough situation. I think that's incredibly good. It's better than any camera I've used in that particular situation, including the Sony A1 with the 100 to 400 of the Sony as well. So my conclusion, the results are there. I'm extremely happy with those results given that particular situation. The camera would do even better if I did even better. So I think that's really promising of what's going on. No autofocus system is going to be perfect, of course. This is a very demanding situation. So I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. This is pretty indicative of what I've been seeing and using the camera so far in the real world, out in the wild, and also photographing my kids and, you know, little critters running around the house at full speed and playing in the snow and throwing snowballs at each other and all that stuff. The camera has been very impressive so far. So anyway, I wish that Ruby was actually a wild wolf running straight at the camera, because that would have been incredible, but she wasn't. So hopefully I get that opportunity sometime soon. That would be amazing. One last thing about this lens hood. I know people are going to ask about it, because every time I make a vlog where I have this lens hood on a particular lens, everybody goes, my God, what lens is that? Because they don't recognize the lens hood. This is an aftermarket lens hood. It's made by Mamiya. It's the Mamiya M77 number 2. And I bought this, I don't know, over a decade ago. It's rubber, so it collapses down on itself if you want it to, but it's a screw-on. So when I'm out cruising around in the woods and I bang it into a tree or something, it's rubber, so it gives a little bit, and it won't fall off. You have to actually unscrew it to get it off. It screws onto the filter thread, and now it's on there, so it's not going to fall off in the woods, and it's a little bit softer rubber. So that's the deal with this lens hood. I have tried to find another one in the last few years. I can't find them anymore. I don't know if they're being made, but I certainly can't find them. Otherwise, I'd show you a link to get one. If you find one, leave me a message down below so I know where to get a backup one in case I lose that one. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you found this little quick casual autofocus test helpful. And I think it shows great promise for the Z9 and, you know, all the autofocus woes of Nikon's mirrorless cameras appear to be back there. All right, take care. See you on the next video. Have a great day.